thanks for the invitation, and glad to be here. I've served as a city councilman in Sumas for 14 years and have been elected mayor. This will be my 12th year, and probably will at least run one more time. So I think after about 30 years that's enough in government. But anyway, I feel quite fortunate to be here. Last Monday I got mugged. My Uncle Sam came to see me and he took everything I had. So my back pocket is starting to feel a little better now. It's healing. I got the first $1 back in it. So as a small business person also, which was my real job, we're starting a recovery. So anyway, I guess the message I want to bring today is that you can accomplish big things in small places. And even though I'm in a city, I guess I'll give you a demographic of Sumas. I know some of you may know where it's at or been through there before. It's a city with a population of about 1,450 people. I think when I first started as mayor there was less than 1,000. So it's grown a little bit. We're the second largest border crossing in Washington State. The city is, I think, the second oldest in Whatcom County, established in 1889. We run our own electric utility, buying power from BPA. And I believe we're the lowest cost power city, at least in Whatcom County, could be in the state, for what we charge our businesses and residents. We run our own TV cable system. That's one out of 2 or 3 cities in the whole United States that have that. Which is the reason that came about was I guess that was back before I was even born when TV came along, and there was a Supreme Court decision in the state where Sumas was taken to court for even having cable, and we prevailed in being able to keep it, and have had it ever since. Let's see, we're probably the only city in the country that has an international sewer system. We send all our sewer, to Canada. Anyway, we've got an agreement with the city of Abbotsford, and mainly because we're in the basin of all the streams run into the Fraser River, they decided to get us on their system instead of discharging into the local waterways. We run our own municipal court, and our water system provides for the city of Sumas, Sumas Rural, city of Nooksack, Nooksack Rural, and water districts west of Sumas. Last year, I'm going to put a little plug in for the city. There's a contest every year where best drinking water is entered for the state. We entered the first time last year and won that, and ended up 6th nationally. We're hoping to be the best nationally because we beat last year's national champion, but only got 6th. As far as the city, we employ 13 people. Probably when I started as mayor, we employed somewhere between 16 and 20. Tried to reduce that staff, and thanks. And by reducing that is to any services needed beyond essential. One thing about being mayor or being in government too long, you get blind and feeble. One thing we do is privately contract out our parks, all the upkeep on the parks and planning, and any other public works. I've tried to get that into the private sector. So as far as our employees, our positions we have is city clerk, assistant clerk, court clerk, utility superintendent, a couple linemen, since we are mandatory to have 2 linemen on because we operate our own utility, and a couple other utility workers, and I think we're one short right now with an open position. We also have a police department with 1 police chief and and 5 officers. So that consists of what the city's made up of. As far as being a small city also, we have to deal with quite a few other governments, and a few extra than most cities do in Washington State. We deal with the other cities in Whatcom County, of course Whatcom County government, state of Washington. Being on the border, we've got United States Customs or Homeland Security, so we're dealing with the federal government quite a bit. We also have lands inside the city where the Port of Bellingham owns, so we deal quite a bit with the Port of Bellingham. And of course, with being on the border, we deal with the province of British Columbia, the Canadian federal government, and also the city of Abbotsford. So I guess where I'm trying to go with this is there's quite a few things a small city does. They're getting into small city politics, and whether it's small cities or other elected positions, there's ways you can influence and change ideas and policies. And I find usually it doesn't matter what party you're meeting with. I mean, a group of people that might be Republicans, Democrats, or Libertarians. I find that policy and funding go hand in hand almost, and I think you can really get a good consensus and move libertarian ideas, because most people will tend that way, because I know at least with funding, most people are pretty conservative in how many dollars are spent. I know once you get into state politics and federal politics, that can kind of change, but at most locally, people want to save money. I guess so. On the theme after the convention, so what can you do, or what can I do? And I guess we'll frame it more what you can do. Sometimes I feel kind of lonely out there on some of the boards and commissions I serve. But I find there's a lot of influence, whether the county government or state government, our representatives or our state senator. A lot of opportunities to be had, and I would urge you to run for small offices, whether it's conservation district, water district. Get on boards or commissions. There's a lot of elected or non-elected boards or commissions you can get through your county government or local government. And I try to serve on as many as I can, pushing ideas and policy. Some of the ones I serve on, we do have a group that's called the Small City Partnership, and it's a mayor's caucus where all the small cities in Whatcom County meet. And a lot of times we get pretty good consensus and are able to push, I think, more libertarian ideas. Even though some of my colleagues are of different party, we seem to be able to push financial policy and things into the county, being small, because I believe our county government, county council people listen, our representatives listen, and we do have a few that I think, even though they have an R behind their name, or sometimes a D, they are more libertarian than what most people think, and those ideas can be pushed. I guess I get back to the influence too, as a lot of times our ideas can be pushed forward, and well, let's see, I guess I kind of went into that already. So I think, maybe what I'll do is, I hate to preach at people, and I'm not more of a speaker, I'm more of a doer, but I'd rather answer questions of anybody. So I think maybe I'll just open it up and go with anybody who wants to ask a question.
Bob, why do you have a utility? Why don't you get rid of it and let competition take care of it? And why make city states want to do the same thing?
Okay. Well, I think, why do we have an electric utility? Well, at this moment, I'd say, the city would never be opposed to selling off the cable or the utility, but I don't think anybody can provide it at this moment any cheaper, because nobody else in the county is providing it any cheaper. Puget Sound Energy is like, I believe, 9 cents a kilowatt hour now. Sumas sells it for 4.5. Businesses with a demand rate will probably get it at about 4.2 cents a kilowatt hour. And that's one reason that we do, one thing I didn't mention, we do have a big industrial area in town, and we've been attracting a lot of manufacturing businesses to Sumas, and we've got one of the largest asphalt shingle maker probably in the Canada, United States, and Europe. In fact, they operate in all 3 places. As far as the cable, that is something we are looking at. It's a publicly owned cable, so the council right now, in fact, is looking at selling it, mainly because of technology change. The only thing is there's a process of that. The council will decide whether to go forward, and then it goes up to the voters if they want the city to get rid of it, because it's owned by the citizens. So, but I do feel that as far as cable goes, technology will end up getting us, because now you can get your internet and your phone and other things through the cable that the city would not be able to provide, nor would we want to, because we aren't going to hire those type of people that can upkeep that. Okay. Larry?
What boards are you serving on the other mayors?
Okay, I am the chair of the small cities, and I've also been able to become chair of the Council of Governments, and for those Council of Governments is the body in the county that it's an MPO, which is a transportation leg of the county where all the money gets administered through for transportation projects. On the EDI board, which is the Economic Development Investment Board. Whatcom County's rural, what do they call it in the state? We're considered rural, so we get a certain amount of sales tax dollars back to the county, which can be invested in infrastructure projects for economic development. And I also serve on the Flood Zone Advisory Board, which, if anybody living in Whatcom County knows, the Nooksack River overflows once in a while and heads to Canada. So, yep.
What's the city's interaction with the Port Authority, and are there any joint projects ongoing, and do you share funding with the Port Authority?
Well, as far as, let's see, sharing, well, like all the taxpayers, we pay into the Port of Bellingham. Port of Bellingham came to Sumas probably 20-30 years ago and purchased some land in which some manufacturing businesses went on. And usually what the port does is they come in, they'll buy the land, sell it off, and try to get out. And they own a few acres yet, so that's probably the only reason we still have some some relationship with them in the city. As far as the small city partnership, our relationship with them is that they administer the group, and there's some funding they provide to the cities for engineering, for projects of manufacturing type businesses or things in industrial land. And you had another part of the question that I thought.
Well, you see that the port has this unusual taxing authority.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering if they're using it to lure some of the industries away out of your city onto their land.
Oh.
In other words, they're subsidizing it with taxpayers.
Yeah. I've never had that happen in our city. Once they've gotten somebody there, they try to keep them there if it's on their land. Now, some of the there's been some purchases of some of the companies who've bought the land from the port, and now it's theirs. But I've had one company move out, but it wasn't necessarily because the port wanted them to. They moved. It was Woodstone. It started out in Sumas, but the clientele they have is more of their business model. They needed to be near an airport where they could fly customers in, and they needed a large facility right near the airport. So that's probably what made their decision to move.
Down the road.
It's just around the corner. I think I go over here. Right.
I just was wondering, since you do have a border crossing, how the interactions that you have with the city, with the federal government, and the border patrol, and all of that, it must add a lot of complications.
At times it does. As far as commerce, maybe, border lineups and stuff. After 9/11 happened, it seemed like it took them 8 years to figure out how to get people across. The passport issue kind of helped that out. It seems to be a lot more streamlined. Plus, during those 8 years, they were adding people like crazy, and Sumas ended up being a training area. So you'd have agents in there for 6 months to a year, had no ties to the community, and that made it somewhat difficult. Border Patrol, I've always had a pretty good relationship with them. They always, either our police department will assist them and they'll assist us. Blaine, Linden, and Sumas are all on their radio system, and where I think the rest of the cities are on Watcom. And so we get, all our police are dispatched, but that's mainly due because we're right on the border, and if they get so far across the border, it's our problem. I think I had another question somewhere. Yeah, back here.
How did you campaign to get elected mayor in the first place?
Well, it's not a real big city, so signage, pamphlets. I had donations from other libertarians around the state and some local businesses. And I think I returned pretty much for what I used, most donors got their money back. I didn't really door to door because I thought I was fairly known well enough in town, but the two main things were direct mailing and signs, yard signs.
Do you remember what the election results were, or how much you won by?
I ran against one person, and I think I had about 60% of the vote to 40, right in there. And ever since the last couple times I've run unopposed. So hopefully that means I'm doing something right, or I'm the only stupid person that wants to do it. Anybody else? Well, hopefully I didn't disturb your lunch by being from the government, but I do have to go back to my real job today too, so because Uncle Sam said he was going to be back next year and he wants more. So thanks for having me.